Countdown for blast off. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire.
Welcome to Lord Blood-Rah's nerve-wracking theater.
Ah, my lords and ladies, geeks, geekarellas, geekulas, and geekeritas. I am Lord Blood-Rah, and this is Lord Blood-Rah's nerve-wracking theater. Butcher Benton, strongman and thug, is hired to take part in a bank truck robbery. But when he gets greedy and decides to keep all the stolen money for himself, the other three crooks turn him in and walk free. Butcher Benton is given the death penalty and dies in the gas chamber. You'd think that would be the end of the story, but after all, this is the nerve-wracking theater. Ha ha! It's only the beginning. My lords and ladies, from 1956, it's the horror crime thriller, The Indestructible Man. Ha ha! Tonight's film stars the great Mr. Lon Chaney Jr., the silver screen's Wolfman and son of the great silent horror film star Lon Chaney. In fact, later on in tonight's show, we have a television rarity for you. Lon Chaney Jr. talking about the life and acting style of his illustrious father, Lon Chaney. But now, without further ado, I give to you a tale of resurrection and reckless revenge. Here is The Indestructible Man.
Dictating the wrap-up on the Butcher Benton package. I'm Lieutenant Dick Chasen. This hadn't been a routine case, and to find the answer, I've had to put a lot of little pieces together. It began on the day most cases can be called closed. It was the day before the butcher was to be executed. He was visited by his attorney, Paul Lowe, in the death house. It was at this first meeting the Butcher Benton case took its first switch.
Well, that's it, Butcher. The evidence against you is so strong, the government turned down your appeal.
You're a rotten liar, Lowe. You started railroading me from the beginning of the trial. And now you're still trying to throw me curves.
Look, I don't blame you for being edgy, but get this straight. I didn't double-cross you. I never worked harder for a client.
You mean you never worked harder for a client to get him sentenced?
You're a fool, Butcher. If you hadn't tried to double-cross Squeamy Ellis and Joe Marcelli, they wouldn't have turned state's evidence against you. But you had to get greedy. You wanted to keep the whole $600,000 for yourself. Well, the boys got sore, and I don't blame them.
It was all your idea. You planned the whole job. You hired us. When you found out I'd staged the money, you decided it was time for me to die. You got those two crumbs to turn state's evidence on me. You stinking rotten mouthpiece.
We both know that isn't true, Butcher. Now, look, what's the sense in not giving me the money? It's not going to do you any good.
Well, I'll have the satisfaction of knowing that none of you three crumbs are going to spend it.
What about Eva? Don't you owe her something? You tell me where the money is, I'll see that she gets your share.
I've got a different idea. I'm going to kill you and Squeamy and Joe. Then I'll take care of Eva myself.
You thick-headed ape, you're going to die tomorrow.
Remember what I said. I'm going to get you. All three of you.
Even for you, Butcher, that'd be quite a trick. So long, dead man.
Remember what I said. I'm going to kill you. All three of you.
Back in Los Angeles, two men sat in a barroom listening to a newscaster tell his headline story. He played up big the butcher's threat to kill Paul Lowe, Squeamy Ellis, and Joe Marcelli for their having turned state's evidence against him. Squeamy Ellis didn't seem happy over the butcher's threat. Neither did Joe Marcelli. But they had figured, once a dead man, always a dead man. But this was one time everyone was in for a surprise, including the entire police department. You seen the headlines, Captain?
Teletype just came in from San Francisco. Butcher's execution is set for 5 o'clock this afternoon. And like the newspapers say, he still refuses to talk about that stolen money.
Well, I still have hopes of coming up with something.
That's what I dropped by for, Dick. With Butcher's execution, the department's marking it case closed. That means you'll be reassigned.
I've spent a whole year trying to break this case. As far as I'm concerned, Butcher's death is just the beginning. Of course, I can't prove it, but I think that Paul Lowe was the top man. And even though I have to keep working on it while off duty, I'm going to get Lowe, Squeamy Ellis, and Joe Marcelli.
Okay, Lieutenant. Officially, I've taken you off of the case. Unofficially, I wish you luck. Do me a favor. Keep me posted.
Will do. Thanks, John. I headed for Eva Martin. She worked in a local burlesque house. I'm a cop, and my job is to ask questions and get answers. So I decided I might as well start again with her.
Come in. Oh. What do you want?
I'd like to talk to you.
Talk? You're a cop, aren't you?
That's a good question. I can't even find a 3-ton armored car, let alone the $600,000, and I've been on the case a year.
I've told you, and I've told you, and I've told you. I don't know anything about the money. I never did.
Benton's gonna be dead in a little while. I thought it might make a difference.
I never knew anything about the money. Call me dumb. I didn't even know Charles was in the rackets until the trial.
Now, take it easy, kid.
You're on, Eva.
was writing the script for the Indestructible Man episode. Yeah, believe it or not, somebody actually writes this stuff. I'm Lord Blood-Rah, horror host, Local 1313. It was more or less a routine movie with an entertaining performance from an aging Lon Chaney Jr. Then it struck me. Lon Chaney was the only actor ever to play all the classic Universal monsters. Frankenstein's monster in Ghost of Frankenstein, Dracula and Son of Dracula, The Mummy in 3 films, and, of course, The Wolfman, his most famous role. What an actor. Then suddenly I was overtaken by this feeling of dread, of terrible impending doom. Yep, commercials.
Larry!
From the exotic geisha houses of Tokyo to the back alleys of the Ginza Strip comes the terrifying news of a fiendish creature that threatens to destroy all who stand in his way. This is the frightening story of an American reporter in Tokyo who unwittingly became the victim of a shocking scientific experiment that turned him into a horrible mutant, half man, half monster, the Manster.
He got away. I think I know where he's going, to Taras. Follow me. Right.
There's panic in the streets as the unheard of terror of a half man, half monster runs wild through the city.
There he goes!
Don't miss The Manster, a genuine thriller in the most frightening sense of the word.
Dance, baby, dance, come and dance with me. Hear the beat of the pounding sea. Ride, baby, ride, come and ride with me. Let your feet go easy.
What do you make of this? Where does the other end go? It dumps into the ocean.
It looks exactly like the South American Fantigua fish. I hope you can take one alive, Sheriff.
I still believe that a human clawed that girl to death. The Beach Girls and the Monster, starring John Hall, Sue Casey, and the glamorous Watusi dancing girls from Hollywood's famed Whiskey A Go-Go nightclub. Music by Frank Sinatra Jr.
You got a monster in the surf. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Chicks, do you have a problem? You won't have after you meet the monster on the beach. If you see this ghoul, play it cool. Beauties in bikinis, laughing, singing, surfing, sinning. Beach party lovers making hey hey in the moonlight while the monster waits and watches. Yeah. This one will kill you.
We now return to the Indestructible Man as the unfortunately named Dick Chasen chases down some leads to crack the big case. What were his parents thinking?
Honey, here's your wrap.
A few moments ago, Butcher Benton without revealing the whereabouts of the $600,000 stolen in the armored car holdup, paid for his crimes against society in the gas chamber at San Quentin. Now for a look at the international scene. Today...
Come on, baby. Don't waste tears on Benton.
I feel so badly about Charles. If I'd known, maybe I could have done something.
How about a drink? We could both use one.
An artist can't drink while she's working, Paul.
Boy, see. What's that? Well, now what's the matter?
It's a message from Charles. He told me to open it if he died.
Finale, Eva.
All right.
How about a steak after the show?
No, thanks. Not tonight, Paul.
I didn't find out until much later, but Paul Lowe, in opening the letter the butcher had given Eva, found a map outlining a section of the city sewer system. And clearly identified was the spot where the butcher had hidden the stolen payroll. He replaced it with a $50 bill. I guess he figured $50 to gain $600,000 was not a bad day's work. And a few hundred miles away in San Francisco, the case took another switch, which turned the next 72 hours into one long, hideous nightmare. Dr. Bradshaw, a distinguished biochemist, was making preparations for a final experiment which he hoped would lead the way to a cure for cancer. He'd been successful with laboratory animals. The last step called for a human body. And Dr. Bradshaw's assistant quickly made a deal with a local mortuary and returned to the laboratory with the dead body of Butcher Benton.
You made good time.
Well, I didn't waste any.
Any trouble?
No, I just handed the money over and moved the body into your station wagon. That was that.
Good. Get a syringe. He's in good shape.
Well, I hope so.
We'll get other blood samples later. We'll run this one through fast.
Right.
Now wheel him into the machine and then raise him.
Right. You mean you're going to give him 287,000 volts?
Yes, yes. I'll get the fluoroscope set. We'll check with that before we start dissecting. Turn off the lights. There you are, old boy. If you respond properly and my theory is sound, you'll be more famous dead than alive. Throw the switch. I saw a pulsation of the heart. You're right. Dr. Bradshaw is beginning to breathe. You've brought this man back to life. No. The heart muscle has simply responded to a terrific electrical shock, that's all. Yes, but it does prove that the cells still function. Dr. Bradshaw. He is alive. A shock reaction, it can't last. His cells are multiplying now, if your theory is right.
We could keep that reaction going longer. But it's worth a try. Get the body out. Get some adrenaline from the supply room. Some amyl nitrite, too. Hurry, hurry. Stand the strain. Now you must lie still. Please, please. Easy now. Easy. Easy. You must lie. Easy, please.
Dr. Bradshaw's experiment had given life back to the butcher. He tried to talk, but the electrical voltage had burned out his vocal cords. Yet it hadn't destroyed his brain. He knew who he was. He knew who he hated. As he stumbled about the room, I think he thought only about one thing: kill Lowe, Squeamy, and Joe Marcelli. The tremendous electrical voltage that Dr. Bradshaw had given the butcher had increased his cellular structure to the point where he was no longer a man. Dr. Bradshaw's experiment had created a vicious, brutal animal with an almost inconceivable amount of strength. Dr. Bradshaw must have believed the butcher's regained life would last for only a few minutes. Therefore, instead of calling for help, the doctor decided to handle his creation alone.
Now, easy, Benton. Just relax. I'm a doctor. I want to try to help you. Do you understand me? You're in my laboratory. The execution was carried out and you were declared dead. I tried an experiment on you and brought you back to life, although I didn't intend that. Now, you've had a great shock. Now come and sit down. Now, be quiet. Now, come and sit down. Take it easy. That's the boy. Careful. His reactions are violent.
How do you explain this?
Each cell must have multiplied 100 times, perhaps thousands. His strength is unbelievable. No, it's too late for the amyl nitrite. I want to get some blood samples, make some tests on him, find out what's happened. Get me a syringe.
The needle penetrate the skin.
The tissue must be nearly a solid mass of cells.
How are we going to get the blood sample?
Surgically, perhaps. Now, take it easy. You can't leave here now. I'm responsible for your being alive.
What did he say?
He tried to talk, but the electrical voltage had burned out his vocal cords. Yet it hadn't destroyed his brain.
Oh, so the electricity burned out his vocal cords, but not his brain. Or his heart. Or his lungs. Or his spleen. Or his uvula. Legend has it that Lon asked the director of this movie not to give him any new dialogue to shoot after their lunch break, because at this point in his career, Lon tended to drink his lunches. I'm betting that alcohol had more to do with his lack of dialogue in this movie than electricity did. And now, here are some commercials which are more than enough to drive any man to drink.
Why'd you set up the brake? Because I can use you.
This machine utilizes X-ray, ultraviolet, and alpha, beta, and omega rays.
This man is a killer. Mad with dreams of fantastic power.
We're conducting experiments requiring fissionable materials. That's atom bomb stuff. The government has that locked up tighter than Fort Knox. You work for us faithfully, or you'll be turned over to the authorities. I understand there's a reward of $5,000 on your head.
No money is safe. No man is safe. Nothing stops the amazing transparent man. Into army-guarded secret government vaults he goes, stealing confidential nuclear material, holding in his unseen hands the key to world power. But the amazing transparent man wants first vengeance.
If I choke you hard enough, you'll bring me back.
That it could happen in America. That it could happen now. That it could ever happen to me. Another murder tonight. At Watergate. My apartment.
You must issue the order that he be taken alive.
The moon hasn't risen yet. Put a guard on me.
Towards the end of this case, Captain Lauder and I found out the doctor and his assistant had been murdered. But I'm getting ahead of my story. The butcher didn't know how he had been brought back from the dead, and he didn't care. All he knew, he was alive. Then this monster-made man started thinking about Los Angeles. On that very night back in Los Angeles, I decided to stop playing detective for a little while. I went to the burlesque house to ask Eva to have dinner with me. After all, the butcher was dead, and if I got lucky, sooner or later I figured Paul Lowe would lead me to the stolen payroll. In a way, that possibility made me even feel better.
It's not fair to watch the show from backstage.
Next time I'll pay admission.
I take it by that remark you like my routine.
Yeah, you're pretty good. What I can't figure out, though, is why you stay in a place like this. It shouldn't be hard for someone like you to get a job in a class spot.
If you weren't a detective, I'd be willing to bet with a line like that your next remark would be, how about dinner?
Well, not exactly dinner, but a hamburger might be a good idea.
If you're asking in an official capacity, I can't say no.
I'm off duty.
For the past 6 months, all I've ever called you is Lieutenant Chasen. Do you have a first name?
Dick.
Give me 10 minutes for a quick change, because you just made yourself a date, Lieutenant. I mean, Dick. You know something, Dick? I haven't had hamburger in the front seat of an automobile with a guy in a lot of years.
Well, from now on, we'll do it more often.
If I ask one more question, will you give me a straight answer?
Try me.
Am I still part of the Charles Benton investigation?
I don't think so. As far as the department's concerned, when Benton was executed, the case was marked closed. But inside of me, that's not good enough.
I don't follow you.
Well, the $600,000 is still missing. And a fast-talking underworld lawyer like Paul Lowe is walking around a free man. Someday, no matter how long it takes, I'll get him and the money. Until I do, the Benton case for me is not closed.
I give you my word, Dick. Charles Benton never told me anything about the money.
Oh, I've been sure of that for a long time. But how did you ever get mixed up with anyone like the butcher?
His trouble ever started just happened. I had a roommate who used to date Benton all the time. One day she packed and left for Chicago. Benton carried a torch for her, and he used my shoulder to cry on. First thing I knew, we were having dinner together, and a few weeks later, I was labeled by the police as this #1 suspect and Benton's girl. But it was never like that. I made only one mistake. I felt sorry for him.
You mean, until he was arrested for the robbery and the killing, you had no idea how he earned a living?
I know this is going to sound crazy, but I only went out with Benton a couple of times. And all we ever talked about was Madge, my old roommate. The last time I saw him, he tried to get too friendly, and that's when I told him he had the wrong girl. But like I said, I'd already made my mistake.
What about the burlesque house? How do you two fit together?
You sound like a lot of other people. I left a small town a couple of years ago because I won a beauty contest, and the first prize was a screen test.
After which, nothing happened?
That's right. Only, it was pretty rough. And then one day I read an ad about girls wanted for a burlesque show. I auditioned and I got the job. You know something? It's like any other job. If you're looking for trouble, you can find it even in a schoolroom.
Well, when the screen test didn't work out, though, why didn't you go on home?
Well, first you have to have a home to go back to. My folks are dead, so Los Angeles was as good as any place else. I don't know about you, but I do 8 shows a day, and at this hour I'm bushed.
I know what you mean. Mind if I drive you home?
No. And I'll tell you something else. I haven't minded anything about tonight. Not even the hamburger.
I kept playing tag with Lowe. He made 4 telephone calls. 3 of them didn't interest me, but one did. The one to Joe Marcelli. I watched Joe head for his meeting with Lowe, and for some unknown reason, I began to get the feeling that this case was finally about to explode in my favor.
You see what I mean? Well, look at that, will you? I seen him stagger on 2 legs, but he's doing it on 4.
Shut up, you flea bag.
Well, look who's calling names. At least I ain't a squealer, a stoolie.
I warned you before.
All right, Harry, that's enough. I'll take care of him. I want to talk to him.
Okay, Mr. Lowe. With any future business you've got with this psycho, take care of it upstairs in your office. He keeps showing around here, sooner or later he's going to get slugged, cripple or no cripple.
All right, shut up, Jim. Sit down.
I need a shot, bad.
You'll get one after I've talked to you. You sober enough to understand?
Yeah, I run out of dough.
No wonder. Look at you. You used to be the best torch man in town. Now I don't think you could crack a safe if you knew the combination.
No jobs. Nobody wants me since I turned stakes on Benton. That's your doing. You talked me into
All right, quit crying. I got a job for you. If you can stay off that stuff long enough.
You know I can if I've got a job. How much? What is it?
There's $2,000 in it for you.
Where?
Right near where he pulled the job. You interested?
$2,000 ain't much out of 600,000.
There'll be other expenses. Besides, that money's plenty of it. Now, you want it or do I get another boy?
I'll do it. How soon do you want me to go to work?
Set it up for tomorrow night. Call me before noon. I'm going to the races. 1. And that's all. The job's over.
How much Jack you think's in that strong rock?
There's plenty of Cuban sugar, though.
Here's what happened. The general beat his friend Castro to the Cuban treasury. The strongbox is now on this boat. So are a deported American gangster and his moll. And lurking in the depths is the creature from the haunted sea.
You're a crazy mixed-up kid.
I am perfectly adjusted to my life of crime.
Don't worry, Mary Bell. I'll save you.
It's all right. Be calm, everybody. The boat's insured.
Beware. The creature from the haunted sea. Horrors of Spider Island. 8 beautiful girls and 1 lone man struggling for survival, with death, sudden, violent, and horrible, lurking in the shadows. Horrors of Spider Island. Out of the night came a fate worse than death. A man's mind twisted, his brain poisoned, with an uncontrollable lust to kill. Horrors of Spider Island. A tale of terror that will leave you limp. So hideous and shocking, you won't believe your eyes. His hunger for victims was never satisfied. Prepare to be frightened out of your wits by the horrors of Spider Island.
And now back to the Indestructible Man, as the mute and now superhuman Butcher Benton meets the fast-talking and completely destructible Carney.
Was walking slowly toward Los Angeles. He'd traveled through wooded hills to prevent being seen by anyone. Finally, he came to a quiet road. He stopped to get his bearings. And then he saw her. He saw something else. An automobile. For the butcher, that rang a bell. With a car, he knew by the next afternoon he'd be in Los Angeles in plenty of time to catch up with the 3 men who had double-crossed him.
Gentleman to be helping strangers in distress. I hope you don't mind me using the babe here as bait. Quite a dish, isn't she? But that's what she gets paid for. Bait, that is. Yes, sir. She's a real shaker artist of my outfit. Carnival man myself. Just call me Connie. Yeah. Well, friend, we're in a little bit of difficulty here. Got a flat tire, brand new car, no tools in the back. Why, some of these dealers make my carnival grifters look like babes in the woods. Say, who you with, friend? Let it down. Let it down. No matter who you with, friend. Believe me, I can do better for both of us. I'll make a fortune for the both of us. Oh.
Later, the San Francisco Police Department sent out an APB. Squads were sent to various parts of the countryside. Were thrown up to catch the cold-blooded killer the hysterical girl had described. Each squad kept reporting back to central headquarters, and each of their stories was the same. So far, none of them had spotted the car the killer was driving. Orders were given to shoot to kill, because from the girls' further accounts, they realized they were dealing with a maniac.
with this information. We'll answer all of your questions. If I can be of any further service, let me know. Sincerely, J.I. Louder, Captain Police, L.A.
Here's another all points from CHP, Captain.
These reports sound like they come from a bunch of loonies.
You sure do. There it is.
Sergeant.
Yeah.
I want Lieutenant Chasen to look these over as soon as he comes in.
All right, Captain.
The next morning, I read the stories of the brutal murder of the 2 police officers. I also read the witness's statement about the bullets having no effect upon the killer. I felt sorry for the witness, and I thought about how easily a person's mind can become confused when suddenly they receive a brutal shock. I didn't believe a man existed who could not be stopped by a slug from a .45. Good morning, Captain.
You and the rest of the force are going on 24-hour duty. Seen the headlines?
You mean this guy that's running amok up north?
Yeah, the latest report, he's killed 2 police officers. Made a getaway in a green coupe heading south. I've got a hunch this killer's going to be our baby. He could be in town right now.
Yeah.
You better get started, Lieutenant.
Okay.
Any new leads on that hold-up money?
I think the girl can probably be counted out. If any of the others are wise, they're keeping mighty quiet.
Well, let it ride for now. The whole force is going to be on the spot until we catch this killer. Newspapers will have a field day.
We were wrong about 2 things. The killer was already in our city, and we didn't know he was Butcher Benton. He headed straight for Eva Martin. He went to her dressing room to get back the map he had left in the envelope with her. He wanted first to check his money, then catch up with Lowe and the others.
Can't be. You do look like him. Only different somehow. It is you. Why didn't somebody tell me? What's happened, Charles? Those look like bullet holes. Are they? There's not even a mark. I opened it like you told me, and I found the $50. I didn't know why you left him. Oh, Paul didn't know why he was here. Don't say crazy.
The name of Paul triggered his hate. He left her dressing room and started for Squeamy Ellis and Joe Marcelli's place. Because he knew, with them out of the way, Paul Lowe couldn't open the strong box where the money was hidden. He thought of Squeamy and Joe first. He was saving Paul Lowe for last.
there were no reports about this thing until 1946. What could have happened then to start the stories?
1946? Well, the bikini underwater experiments were set off then. Maybe that started something.
Deep down in the strange, lurid, murky depths of the Pacific are fantastic, horribly grotesque creatures of the sea that challenge man's courage as no earthly creatures can. Science knows some of the answers, but not all. And among science's unknowns is the strange identity of the living monster from the ocean floor.
How'd he get out of suit? No man gets through that.
Then what happened to him?
Here is the first undersea battle ever photographed between a giant killer shark and a woman, as she searches for a monster even more deadly.
Could absorb a man.
Or a woman.
Bonnie, cast off on the double.
Feel myself going back to the animal instinct. I lock myself in there with him, feeling that I might do something terrible.
Billy! Billy!
Can I borrow your eyebrow pencil? Operator, get me police headquarters. Lieutenant Chasen, please. When do you expect him? Well, tell him Charles Benton is alive, and even bullets can't stop him. I'm not crazy. Just say a friend of Charles. He'll know.
After leaving a message for me, Eva telephoned Squeamy Ellis. She tried to tell him the butcher was alive and on his way over to kill him. Squeamy didn't believe her, and in a way you couldn't blame him. Who in their right mind would believe a man had returned from the dead? What Squeamy actually believed was that the butcher, before his execution, had hired a killer to carry out his threat.
You sick? What? You don't look so good to me.
10 minutes, Eva.
All right. Say, Eva, I could take over the matinee trick for you. What? It's easy. Look, Eva, I can do it. Scub-up-de-doo-doo-doo. Oh, Francine, I just thought of something. Yeah?
Eva agreed to let Francine do the show. She hoped she'd be able to interrupt the butcher before he arrived at Squeamy's hotel. Or, failing that, at least be able to warn him to stay out of sight.
You wanted me, Captain?
Yeah, I just had a rundown on those fingerprints of the stolen car up north. We got nothing on the driver who was killed or the woman with him. Take a good look at these.
There's something funny about these.
Yeah. And the boys in the lab can't figure it out either. Those are the killers. They were found on the steering wheel. Looked like they'd been stamped in with a steel die.
They sure do.
These are Butcher Benton's.
What? Well, they look the same to me. How do the lab boys explain that?
They don't. Their best guess is a twin brother. An identical twin could have the same pattern of whorls with only slight variations. Ever hear of the butcher having a twin brother?
No.
Even if he did, it wouldn't explain these freak prints.
You didn't pick up your message, Lieutenant. Some wacky dame calls you. And she says Charles Benton is alive, and bullets won't stop him.
If we buy the twin theory...
Who was she? Where'd she see him?
Well, she wouldn't leave her name. Sounded kind of hysterical to me. Said she was a friend of the butcher's.
Eva Martin.
Get over to the Follies and see what that girl knows.
Yeah.
Some guys have all the luck. I never drew an assignment to the Follies.
Meanwhile, the butcher headed for Squeamy's hotel. He didn't seem to be in any particular hurry. Actually, he seemed like any normal person, on his way to work, or on his way home. He rode up Angel's Flight, arrived at the top, scanned the hotel building, and then noticed the only exit from Squeamy's apartment. A fire escape. butcher was figuring his next step. And as he looked at the dead cop, he thought about Paul Lowe, the next man on his list.
1 down and 2 to go. Butcher Benton has begun taking his revenge. And I guess you can't really blame him, but really, that first kill just did not seem fair to me. The guy was on crutches. He had no chance of getting away. Just doesn't seem fair. Of course, I'm not going to tell him that.
Three, 2, 1, 0.
Fly in the rocket ship of the future, 350,000 miles up. Explore limitless space with the world's greatest astronauts.
Pegasus 4 to Lunar Base 1. We're entering a heavy magnetic field.
Take part in the terrifying search for the Phantom Planet. Battle an army of deadly meteors. See daredevil men repair their ship on the edge of eternity. Vital feed lines hit. Air cut off.
My ship is being drawn toward an asteroid. Instruments completely out of operation. I'm going to try to land. I don't think I'll make it.
See the first man land on the Phantom Planet. See a 6-foot man shrink to 6 inches before your very eyes. Introducing Dolores Faith as Zetha, the girl from outer space, whose beauty secrets are wrested from the cosmic rays of the Milky Way. Discover the atomic mysteries of the universe.
Those are gravity plates that we've had placed here. Their intensity is so high that any object or any person placed on any one of them would immediately disintegrate. Here, let me show you.
Men on the Phantom Planet risk instant death for their women. The appalling warfare of other worlds. Sun-blazing solarites attack.
The greatest danger to us is the high-intensity heat bomb.
Right. They have enough concentrated heat to blow up our planet instantly.
See the solarite monster break loose. Thrill to the awe-inspiring battle for survival.
Activate the gravity curtain.
The fantastic power of the weapons of outer space. Cosmic rays destroying the solarites.
Seen Joe Marcelli?
Not since last night when I told him I didn't want him around here no more.
Give me a shot. Look, I need help. Just found out that Benton's hired a killer to get me. He's after Joe, too. Then
Drink up and get out. I don't want no trouble around my place.
You're a real pal.
Drink up and get out, I said.
What's happened?
A guy named Squeamy got thrown from the 5th floor. He's dead on a mackerel. Customer of mine.
You mean Squeamy Ellis?
Yeah, that's it.
Just Squeamy. No one else was killed.
Ain't one enough?
I tell you, the bullets never even phased him. He must have been wearing a bulletproof vest.
God help us when the papers get a hold of this. Keep an officer on duty here till you hear from me. We'll get a stakeout on Joe Marcelli.
I'd like to talk to Joe. Lauder, I'm going to call San Quentin. Suppose Benton is alive.
Every available man's been put on the case now. Yes, sir. All right. All right. Anything new?
Report on Dr. Bradshaw, owner of the station wagon. The San Francisco police located his laboratory in the basement of an electrical power receiving station.
Bradshaw, what's he know?
He's dead. And another man, too, his assistant. The lab is a shambles. But now we're getting some action from San Francisco. Benton's body never arrived at the mortuary where it was supposed to go. An attendant there finally broke down, admitted he picked up some quick cash by handing the body over to a man he was unable to identify. The man was driving his station wagon.
Blasted, man, the chief's on my neck, and the commissioners are on his, and the mayor's on theirs. Now, am I supposed to tell them that our killer is a dead man?
They found a notebook in Bradshaw's lab. It ties his experiments in with a Professor Dwiggins at Caltech. I hope to hear from Dwiggins soon.
Captain, report from the valley on a hysterical woman. Reports the presence of the killer. There's the location.
Let's go.
And there goes Squeamy. The score now stands at 2 down, 1 to go. And you know, I've noticed that Butcher Benton's preferred method of dealing with his enemies seems to be picking them up and throwing them. I wonder if he was always that way. I mean, you know, before he was brought back to life. His nickname probably should have been the Pitcher instead of the Butcher. Just a thought. Yeah, I know, just barely. Oh, and speaking of barely thinking.
From the depths of hell comes The Devil's Messenger, starring the master of mystery, Lon Chaney, and Karen Cannon.
You could be my messenger. You'd have to go back. Up there.
No, I can't. I won't go back.
You deliver that to a Mr. Donald Powell. Don't be afraid of me.
The Devil's Messenger delivers gifts from hell, turning man into a ravaging beast.
I took a picture of that old farmhouse. There's nobody in the picture. You saw it. Was there anybody in it? No, there wasn't. Somebody has come out of that house, and they're coming toward me.
Back from the dead, his lovely victim seeks revenge for her horrible death at the hands of a man driven mad by a gift from hell. Trapped in her icy tomb until the Devil's Messenger exposed her nakedness in her crystal prison.
Now let's get down to here.
She becomes the object of a scientist's lust. His consuming desire for her drives him to commit murder to keep her for himself. Not since Eve received the apple have gifts inflicted such unnatural consequences.
Tonight at midnight, you will be dead.
Just how do you intend to kill me?
I have no idea. I don't even know you.
The crystal ball foreshadows doom, for it is the plaything of the devil, and only he can change the events it foresees. You must see what the Devil's Messenger has in store for you.
We now return to The Indestructible Man, as Detective Dick Chasen races to the scene of another ghastly murder. It's been one long, hard case for Dick, and I know Dick's been in a lot of tight spots, but I'm sure he can stand up to the challenge. What? I didn't say anything dirty.
You and your boyfriend had a little fight, and he got out of the car to take a walk. You noticed that he walked down toward the sump area in the direction where you'd seen those lights a short while before.
What happened then, miss? Please try to tell us.
Well,
I just sat there. A few minutes, I guess. I was pretty mad. Then there was a loud crash, like heavy metal, sort of, from down here. I got out of the car to get a better look. I heard Jimmy cry out something. I couldn't make out the words. Then down here, in a patch of light, was Jimmy. And coming toward him was this man. Big man. Lifted Jimmy up over his head like he didn't weigh a thing. Jimmy screamed. Just once. Before he broke Jimmy's back. I heard it snap. Not far away. Then I started running till I found this house. They let me use the phone.
Thank you, Miss. We'll see that you get home right now. O'Malley, see that the young lady gets home all right.
Paul Lowe, while driving to his office, heard a radio commentator report the murder of Joe Marcelli. And what shocked him most was when the broadcast identified the killer as possibly being the butcher. Lowe headed straight for Eva Martin at the Burlesque Theater.
Oh, you gave me a start, Mr. Lowe.
What are you doing here? Where's Eva?
Oh, I'm taking her place. I'm going to wear her costumes. What's it to you?
I asked you, where's Eva?
Hey, don't get physical. And watch your tone of voice, Buster. I told you. Little Eva isn't here.
I could see that for myself. Where is she?
She's at police headquarters. That's where she is.
Yes, sir. No, sir. Captain Lauder's still with the mayor. The killer dropped out of sight. He was last seen in the Hollywood area. Yes, sir. We know he's dangerous. Every angle's being covered. Yes, sir. I'll tell him.
Here, see how these fit.
Low heels.
I'm sorry. It's the best our wardrobe department can afford. Any idea how soon the captain will be back?
Now, look, I'm going to see the captain. I'll have to wait here all night.
Paul. Paul, Charles killed Squeamy and Joe.
Joe, too? Benton?
He's alive. I saw him, but nobody will believe me.
I'm checking it. My guess is whoever killed them is on the trail of the money, Lowe. Now, maybe you'd better start talking if you know anything about it.
I don't know anything.
Did the butcher have a brother?
No brother.
It was Charles. I saw the tattoo on his arm.
Look, I demand police protection.
Where's the money, Lowe?
You heard me. I demand protection. I know my rights.
We put stakeouts on your office and home.
Well, that's not enough.
It's enough as far as we're concerned.
Now you gonna book me, Sergeant?
Dan, throw away the key.
Thank you.
Come up with anything yet, Dick?
Oh, we've checked every hotel, motel, and rooming house in town. We've run a cross-check on every hangout butcher ever used. Net results, blank.
This is incredible. We not only discover a dead man turned killer, but it's beginning to look like he plays ghost, too. He's somewhere in this city, and if we have to take it apart brick by brick, we've got to get him.
I may be way off, but I think Paul Lowe could tell us a lot.
Maybe, but it's a cinch he's not going to.
Well, suppose he had no alternative.
You better grab some coffee. Your mind's beginning to play tricks on you.
No, now, wait a minute. When Lowe came to us for police protection, it was because he was scared stiff the butcher would add him to the list of Squeamy Ellis and Joe Marcelli.
Go on.
It figures, too. When he slugged the sergeant, he knew we'd book him right away. Oh, this Lowe's a pretty cute character. But we can play the same game.
You mean we'll threaten to release him?
Well, not exactly. You tell him you realize that he was excited. that throwing the punch was accidental. Tell him we're not going to make a charge, that he's completely released.
Lieutenant, you know we can't do that. Lowell made his first mistake when he hit the sergeant, and that'll get him a year. As far as the department's concerned, at least it's a small victory.
If my hunch is right, Lowe won't want to be on the streets with the butcher looking for him. And he may talk, and talk a lot. Enough maybe for us to get rid of him permanently. Even lead us to the butcher.
If he's frightened enough, that might work. But if it doesn't... No, Dick, I'm not going to release him. I want him out of my way so bad I can taste it, but not bad enough to be responsible for getting him killed.
The good thing about that, Captain, is the fact we know it, but Lowe doesn't.
Let's give it a try.
All right, Lowe. Come on out.
I think you'll find everything in there. You're free to go, Mr. Lowell.
Wait a minute. Who do you think you're kidding? You arrested me for assaulting an officer. Court, I'll plead guilty. With luck, I might get off with 6 months.
For a lawyer, you're forgetting a very important point. If no charge is made, there's no trial. It was a tough day for everyone. We figured your nerves were on edge, and when you threw the punch, you didn't know what you were doing. I've squared everything with the sergeant. It's all over, all forgotten.
Yeah? Why'd you bring a stenographer?
Simply because I wanted a record of our conversation at the time of your release. Okay, Lowell, let's go.
Oh, wait a minute. Once out on those streets and I'm a dead man. You let me go, you'll be responsible for murder.
Oh, come off it, Lowe. You're imagining things.
You know the butcher threatened to kill me. You set me free, he'll do it.
Well, that's just a risk we'll have to take. But the way I look at it, Mr. Lowell, you'll be okay.
Look, Captain, I'll make a deal with you. You keep me here and I'll tell you how to recover the money. Maybe even catch the butcher.
No deals, Lowell. You'd probably tell us anything just to stall for time. Come on, let's get out of here.
Now, wait a minute. All right. I'll tell you the truth. Start taking this down. I, Paul Lowe, hired Butcher Benton, Squeamy Ellis, and Joe Maselli to pull off the armored car holdup.
And then Lowe continued with his confession. He told us about finding the map. He showed us the exact location of where the butcher had hidden the stolen payroll. And he gave us a most important answer. The explanation as to how the butcher was able to elude detection. His means of escape was the sewer system beneath our city.
Take it easy, Dracula. What do you think I'm carrying here, my dirty laundry?
Where a man-eating, talking plant gives homicide something to think about.
I didn't do it.
Do what?
Whatever.
Ever see this man?
Man, see picture.
Why are you so nervous? Oh, boy, you kiss good, Audrey.
Oh, I guess I just have a good kisser.
Now you will do as I say.
Yes, master.
You will go out and find me some food.
Yes, master.
What's the matter? Don't you like me?
Too bony.
Too bony? Nobody ever told me that before.
Beef is better than veal.
Ah, you're such a dodo. What do you call this? Chopped liver?
And now, on to the conclusion of The Indestructible Man. And after that, we have a television rarity for you, featuring Lon Chaney Jr. talking about his father, the great Lon Chaney.
The department went to work fast. Every police squad in the city was detailed to cover a specific area. Every entrance and exit to the Los Angeles city sewer system of 700 miles was covered. Captain Lauder and I, along with several other squads, headed for the entrance where, according to the map, Butcher had hidden the money. Our job was to stop him, and that made me think of one specific question. When we found him, could this monster be stopped? I, for one, wasn't sure.
Everything all set, Lieutenant?
City engineers mapped out each possible exit. A squad of officers are spotted at every point. If the Butcher can be caught, now's the time.
Well, after I talked to Caltech, I called on the fire department for a little help. The professors thought a flamethrower might stop him.
Flamethrower?
I suppose their boys have had a chance to join our squads by now. I see we have one with us here.
Have you thought about what'll happen if this doesn't work?
No. I've been praying too hard that it will work. This is where we split up. I'll go straight ahead.
If this map's right, we're off our course. You'll have to backtrack. the tremendous shock of electricity that brought the butcher back to life destroyed him. The $600,000 stolen in the armored truck robbery has been recovered. Case closed. Well, here are the scientist's comments for your records. I had to fill in a few spots with my own guesses, but I guess that's about the size of it.
Did you get any sleep?
Oh, some. Not much.
How's the girl today?
Well, I called the hospital about an hour ago. She'd gone.
Gone? Where?
Well, she told him she was a working girl and that she'd been away from the job too long already.
Quite a girl.
Yeah. Say, how about that time off I've got coming?
48 hours, beginning right now. Get some rest, Dick.
You know something, Dick? The past 72 hours seem like a bad dream. That rest in the hospital today really gave me a new lease on life. Now that it's over, I can't believe it actually happened.
The important thing is to remember it is all over.
I suppose you'll be assigned to another case. I'll have to give up hamburgers in the front seat of the car for steaks in a restaurant.
No. I've thought about that. In fact, I decided to do something about it. I started by talking the captain into a short holiday, and just about an hour ago, I got you fired.
What? What did you do that for?
I figured that being my wife would take up all of your time.
Even if I wanted to say no, I couldn't. You're not supposed to say no to a detective.
I figured that, too.
Assume the position and open your minds wide. It's time for your cranial cavity search. Yes, my lords and ladies, the cranial cavity search. Here's a chance for you great geeks out there to prove your geek cred by showing what you know. And tonight's cranial cavity search question is: the great Mr. Lon Chaney Jr. rose to fame after his iconic performance as the Wolfman in 1941. But did you know that in that same year, he performed in a musical comedy, teamed with a famous comic in an Abbott and Costello-like relationship? What was the name of the famous comic Lon Chaney Jr. was paired with in a musical comedy? A. Fred Allen, famous radio comic. B. Shemp Howard of the Three Stooges. C. Red Skelton. Or D. Milton Berle. Think about it, my lords and ladies. It'll ease the pain from these commercials. And the answer to tonight's cranial cavity search question: who was paired with Lon Chaney Jr. in a 1941 musical comedy? It was B. Shemp Howard. The film was San Antonio Rose, and Lon Chaney Jr. played Jigsaw Kennedy, paired with the Three Stooges' Shemp Howard as Benny the Bounce. Shemp got slapped around by Lon in a very Abbott and Costello-like way. But now, my lords and ladies, on to the television rarity I promised you. Longtime nerve-wracking theater viewers will remember that in our presentation of the Bela Lugosi classic, The Devil Bat, we showed you a clip from a 1950s TV series called You Asked For It, in which Bela Lugosi performed a magic trick. We have another clip from You Asked For It featuring Lon Chaney Jr. talking about his famous father, the star of the great silent horror classics, The Phantom of the Opera, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Unknown, and many more. His famous father, the great Lon Chaney Sr.
Remember this monster who played the organ in the subterranean cellars of a Paris opera house? Remember this piteous hunchback, a deaf mute, who served as bell ringer of a famous cathedral? Well, my friends, these memorable characters were portrayed by the supreme artist of pantomime, the man of 1,000 faces. And in a few moments, you will see on your television screen right at home for the first time this famous actor in scenes from an immortal classic, because Kenneth Waterman of Kansas City, Missouri, asked for it. He said, "Dear Baker, my twin brother Earl and I have heard that Lon Chaney was the greatest character actor of them all. Since his pictures were played before our day, we're asking for some scenes from one of his old movies so we could know more about him. Thank you, Kenneth Waterman." Well, Kenneth will do more than that for you and your twin brother. Yes, in this dressing room here is one who knows more about Lon Chaney than anyone else. In this dressing room also is a very famous actor, the same man. He, in his own right, has done some spine-tingling scenes, a star in such things as you'll remember of Mice and Men, and The Wolf Man, and many others. So in order to find out about Lon Chaney, why not talk to his son, Lon Chaney? Good evening, sir. I am there. Glad to see you, Lon.
Hello, Art. I'm glad to be with you.
It's very gracious of you to answer this request, and I mean it sincerely. There'll be hundreds of thousands of people who'll want to know all the intimate details. Particularly, these are young people who've never seen your father, and they want to know how he achieved that perfection in mimicry and pantomime.
Well, pantomime to my father was just like ABC. You see, actually, Art, my dad learned his ABCs in pantomime. Now, don't get excited. The reason for that is that he was born of deaf-mute parents. And therefore, he learned his A, B, C's. That way. But, of course, like children always are, he had to learn words before he could learn his ABC. So, naturally, his parents taught him signs for words that would be fitting to a situation. Now, for instance, I imagine probably the first word they ever taught him was love, because they had much in their heart. And the sign for love is love.
Over the heart.
Now, probably because it's just the opposite, I will call your attention to the sign of hate. 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 Now, of course, hate always brings fear. So I'll give you the sign of fear. Fear. Fear.
I see.
Now, there is the inception of how my dad became such a great pantomimist. Now, I understand that you're going to show a picture. I brought along a scrapbook here that I think that if we look through the pages, you'll find a photograph that will fit the picture that you're going to do tonight.
I remember that scene.
Sure enough.
Say, hold it. That's the picture that we're going to see right there.
Yeah.
Yes, my friends, we will now see for the first time on television this priceless scene, and many of them, from The Hunchback of Notre Dame with Lon Chaney Sr., because you asked for it.
There's the bell of the cathedral. Now, I think, if you'll watch very closely, that the first sign you will see that I express to you on my hand is fear. There it is. There. See?
Yes, that's it.
Now, I think that shortly it will go into an expression of hate. Not the complete sign of hate, but a good deal of the sign. You See, these various things that I've explained to you, Art, are not complete signs, but they are portions of signs from the mute language.
This is the mob trying to break into the cathedral.
That's right.
To get him and the girl.
That's right. I believe the next sign that you will see that is similar to the mute language would be frustration and followed by determination. There's frustration, see?
Oh, here he comes at that great big timber.
He throws that down upon the crowd.
He was a powerful man like you were, too, wasn't he?
Oh, he was a very powerful man.
There he throws it on the crowd.
That's right. Now watch the exaltation. Now the crowd's going to use his own weapon again.
The battering ram.
But don't let that fool you.
What does he do now?
Now you know.
There's rage.
You watch. See these cauldrons? They're filled with molten lead. He intends to tip them over and let this molten lead pour upon the crowds below.
Down the gutter. Wow. That was a great scene. Another one. Exaltation there.
Again.
Triumph.
Now, here's the scene that you'll see the sign of love. You'll have to watch carefully at first. You'll see it twice in this scene. There it is. Did you see it? Now you'll see despair, adoration, compassion, and gratitude all mixed up into one beautiful scene.
She, of course, can't return his love.
No.
So here you get despair.
It's a love of a different type,
Compassion with her.
That's right. Now, gratitude.
And gratitude. You know, I still say that's a great picture there, Lon. It shows that your father just mastered his lessons from a baby, doesn't it?
Well, it is a great picture, Art, but that was of its day. Just realize what a great, wonderful thing we're doing today. We're on television. Just think what a boon that can be to the deaf and dumb people throughout our nation. Do you realize how many there are?
Oh, I don't know.
There are over 3 million.
That's so.
And there's a club in every major city called the Silent Club. And I think that the most wonderful thing that could happen in the whole world would be for some big outfit, company, person, or something like that to donate a television set to each of those clubs. And then they could read lips, and every time that Art Baker's on, they'd be reading what he has to say.
Well, I want to tell you, that would be a thing. I'm glad you brought that up. There's a real project. And, Lon, very sincerely, I'd like to thank you in behalf of many, many thousands of people who have a warm spot in their heart for your father and for yourself. It was nice in you, and best of luck to you indeed.
Thank you.
And to letter writer Kenneth Waterman, we're very, very glad that you asked for it.
The great Lon Chaney Jr., talking about his father, the great Lon Chaney. We've presented The Phantom of the Opera here on the Nerve-Wrackin' Theater, but if that's the only Lon Chaney film you've seen, then you're missing performances by one of the most diverse and fascinating actors ever to be on the screen. Find some Lon Chaney movies and check them out. But now, my lords and ladies, I want to thank you all for watching, and I want to invite you all back again next week when we'll do whatever this is all over again. As always, I am Lord Blood-Rah saying, geek out.